going? Okay. Hello?
Yeah.
There's a bit of a lag. It's
Hello?
interesting. Hello, everybody.
Bit of
I'm
lag.
kind of playing with some
Hello?
settings here today. I'm trying to
Hello,
figure out
everybody. I'm
how,
kind of playing.
in the future, I will go about going live. I'm having some trouble getting my computer's camera to play nice with YouTube. So I was hoping that I could use my phone to record it and monitor it on my computer, but it turns out that the lag is horribly bad. It's like, sounds like it's almost like 3 or 4 seconds difference, which would be pretty annoying. Um, Hold on a second. And I can only see so much that's happening when I do it this way. That's a bummer. So I have to figure out how to make this work better. Sorry, the folks that wasn't able to have a little fun here, a little more fun with it today. But I hoped it would work a little bit better. Yeah, it's I'm you're probably hearing me great because you're probably hearing me the same way that you heard me at the rally because I was using my phone at the rally to go live. What I was trying to do here in my studio was use my actual computer's camera and my really good microphone that I paid for here, my Blue Snowball, to work it. But YouTube keeps telling me I have to enable it, and so I've searched all over wherever I'm supposed to go to try to enable my camera and my microphone. I've been having a great difficulty finding it for some reason. So I'm guessing I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board and figure that out. Why it's not letting, or where I gotta go to find that setting, because it's not obvious. I've drilled into about 5 or 6 different settings menus in YouTube and in Google, and it's not jumping right away. So I'm not exactly sure how much Trump has to do with that, honestly, and personally wouldn't even want to speculate about the current POTUS's potential involvement unless there's actual significant proof that he's actually being obstructive or something. But as far as that, I don't know what to say about the current POTUS's involvement. Mainly, what Brennan has in options is a case that's just a complete train wreck. So I would imagine if, which I happen to believe is unlikely, but I think the Supreme Court's going to see the merits here, and moving forward, how this really speaks. It really is a bad omen for youth moving forward in the criminal justice system if this doesn't get addressed, because like I've been saying, there's nothing to keep the state courts honest. If the Supreme Court sees this for what it is, the opportunity that it is to give the state courts the option, or well, to give them something to fear. If they realize that people can now go for federal habeas relief, and that there's a case law precedent from the Supreme Court that will possibly allow them to get through AEDPA, which is, like I said, the thing that they're leaning on. None of their arguments for Brendan were very substantive. They were very weak. The main part of their argument was leaning on AEDPA repeatedly. So, like I say, if the Supreme Court does the right thing, I think that they can really turn things around for youth and stuff in our justice system. Um, but the options that he has is his case is just so full. The options Brendan has is his case is just so full of ridiculous BS crap that it's just find another train wreck part of the confession or the way they handled the case, and start going through the court process again, and appealing his case again. Like I've been making the statement, eventually the mountain of straws is going to become big enough. The mountain of straws are going to become big enough that it's going to finally break the camel's back, in my opinion. Who killed Halbach? Well, that's a question I don't answer because I'm not here to speculate about any of that. It's what I'm here for, and when it comes to this case, is to point out how I don't feel that I've gotten the right story. I don't feel that I've gotten the correct story. And because I haven't gotten the correct story, I don't know what to think of the train wreck that's been offered to me by the prosecution because it doesn't really match the facts. It doesn't fit the facts. There's way too many, gaping holes that you can drive a Mack truck through in this case. And beyond a reasonable doubt, no, I don't think it was. We need a retrial. And we need the prosecution to come in there and offer what really happened. Where did this all really take place? Then I can possibly know who might have killed Miss Halbach. But until we get the real location that all this happened, because it certainly didn't happen in the trailer, it certainly didn't happen in the garage, in my opinion. And until we can get the actual facts of this case, we know nothing. So in terms of that, that's how I feel there. I'm not expecting to get Stephen Avery out with this video. I'm just a supporter. I just talk about the things that bother me about this case, and that lots of other people who subscribe to my channel and watch also think are fishy and out of place. But no, I'm not. I don't expect this video to free Stephen Avery. I'm going to continue to advocate for a new trial, which I think is necessary, or at least the evidentiary hearing that Zellner's asking for. I mean, you should at least allow her to try to present her evidence. But the fact that they're even obstructing that, in my opinion, is just, yeah. We'll see. We'll see where it all goes. The lawyers will argue this all out. They'll fight with each other in court and in briefs and everything. Judges will make decisions, and we'll see where it all lands. We'll see where it all lands. That's basically all I can say on that. We'll see what the future brings. The juror who left said his first vote was 7-5, and that they were threatened. Yes, they said that it was a very tense atmosphere in there because of I believe it was a father of a Manitowoc County sheriff, and there was also somebody in there, I believe, closely related to a court clerk, and those two were very, very staunchly in favor of convicting Stephen Avery. And apparently the first vote was pretty lopsided in favor of Stephen Avery, basically in his favor. That eventually did change. Yes, that juror that you're speaking of did end up leaving. There was a very interesting situation that happened with his daughter on a kind of out in the middle of nowhere road. Somebody was driving very erratically in front of her, and then there was an accident, and suddenly within, like, I believe it was within 30 seconds or a minute, the police were already there to help her, and were giving the reports that, blah blah blah, she was, she was in an accident or whatever. This all got back to the juror. He was worried about his daughter and everything, and they were kind of pressuring him. From what I can tell, the father of the sheriff's officer was being well, let's just say he was being pretty unfriendly. And so he ended up wanting to go and make sure his daughter was okay, and that's how that all went down. But yes, it was very fishy, the circumstances of the accident that his daughter had. I think Ryan knows something. Whatever Ryan knows, I'm not exactly 100% sure. I just am sure that Ryan has some kind of knowledge that he is sitting on that he doesn't want to talk about. Like I said, there's kind of a lot of places in this case where we see that, where there's people clamming up. It doesn't. I basically try to point out Ryan as a suspicious fellow, or a dodgy fellow. I keep my criticisms of him to that level because I'm not sure what he knows, but he certainly, I've seen him on camera enough times looking uncomfortable that I feel that there's something behind there. Anthony Connor, yes, Ryan was very much misleading. The whole thing he said about nobody being on the crime scene, it was all taped off, and that they hadn't been there. That was a lie. And you saw the way that Mike Halbach was looking at him when he was talking about it. Like, I mean, Michael Halbach was staring daggers at Ryan when he was saying that to the news media. So I mean, there was definitely something odd happening there. It could have been Ryan. As I said, I'm not saying it wasn't Ryan. I'm also not saying it wasn't the police. You know, at this point in time, until I get a real murder scene, until I get a place where this actually happened, because it didn't happen at Avery Salvage. That's my personal opinion. People may not agree with me, but that's my opinion. This did not go down at Avery Salvage. And until we find out where it went down, the case is laughable to me. So and Trace Wolf, I know how you feel. Sorry, but that's the way I feel about it. We don't know where this happened. We've been offered a ridiculous narrative that makes very little sense. Has Stephen going from idiot to savant, idiot to savant, idiot to savant at every little step. It's ridiculous. So yeah, we need a better narrative. We need to see a retrial, and then we need the prosecution to come out and tell us a story that actually makes some sense. I'm not saying Ryan isn't the killer. Anyways, look, I'm not saying he isn't. I'm saying he warrants suspicion. I'm saying that people are right to be all over him. Just so that we're clear, I'm not saying that he's lily white and any of that. Okay, just so we don't have any blurred lines here. Okay, yeah, Trace Wolf, you're very passionate, and I'll tell you what, I can appreciate that. There was an opportunity for the police to frame Stephen Avery. They jump on it. The murder, in my view, was at a different location. Like I said, I agree. My personal theory is it was over at Xander Road, next door to Paul Metz's house. Who, bizarrely, Mr. Metz tried to claim that this fire was coming from 4.5 miles south at Avery Salvage. He actually tried to pin this fire, this very foul, vile smelling fire. He tried to say that it was coming from 4.5 miles south from Avery Salvage. He actually tried to insinuate this to police and reports. Very odd. But in my mind, that is the only report we have of a vile smelling fire in the area around that time. And so I'm led to believe that location at Xander Road should have gotten a lot more investigation. I should be able to find a lot more about it to be able to rule it out. But all I know is it's the only place that we have a vile smelling fire in the area at the time. And we have 3 or 4 different accounts of people who say they saw this fire in Avery's fire pit. Well, if you're close enough to see it, you'd have been close enough to smell it. And nobody mentions that. Only Brendan, after it's suggested and fed to him by investigators. Okay. It never happened there. No blood. When someone gets their throat cut, there's lots and lots of blood. Absolutely. Absolutely right. There would be some trace of Teresa, her hair, her blood, something would be there. They would have found some scintilla of something that proved that she was there besides the phony bullet. And I've explained why I think the bullet is phony for many, many times. It's the only trace they have, and it pops up, of course, 5 months later after they coerce Brendan. I've frozen. Uh-oh. Oh, Christ. How about now? Did it unfreeze? All right. So has it unfrozen? Okay. Yeah. Looks like it has. Okay. Okay. Kind of stuff is starting. Okay. It's okay now. Okay. Good. All right. There we go. Unfortunately my phone went into low power mode. That's why it stopped all that. So I had to plug it into power real quick. There we go. We're good to go. So thanks, Trace Wolf. You know, I prefer people that can argue the case without insults and that type of stuff. You know, because when you got to resort to the insults and stuff, it's unpleasant. But you know, truth will certainly prevail. That's something I think is kind of inevitable at this point. Um, I think the truth of what has happened to Brett Dassey is going to begin to topple the house of cards, and we really need really need SCOTUS to come through and give the juveniles with the mental limitations the path to break through AEDPA. It's to me of paramount importance. Will have huge effects on the criminal justice system across the country because every single state now will have to consider that special care, and they will make sure that they give it because they will know that if they don't, that these kids will be able to go through habeas and they will be able to make it through AEDPA because they'll be able to point at this case. And I think that that's huge. It's why I think it matters. It's why I think it's a vehicle. It's why I think that the issue is ripe, as the Supreme Court often puts the reason why they don't take cases or do take cases is to whether or not the issue is actually ripe. And I think Brendan's case has all those things going for it. It's ripe. It's a good vehicle. It could really change things across the country and make the courts honest, kind of thump them and give the special care that's due. Yeah. Couldn't just kill Larry. They would have been the prime suspects. Absolutely, they would have. And you obviously know that Sheriff Peterson was actually thinking about it. He was actually considering that because he actually said it in a Dr. Phil interview, and everything. So yeah, or what, it was a news interview or something, but where he actually uttered those words, showing that it had been on our minds. I mean, yeah. Okay, thank you, Trace Wolf. You're a real ray of sunshine, by the way. Just awesome. Hey, but I love your passion. A little less um, vulgar, but your passion is significant. I'll say that. Sick how they did Brendan. God knows, twisting words and manipulation. Absolutely, feeding in every crucial fact. The actual, just the actual psychological, basically conditioning that they put him through during that 3 hours. It's all conditioning. Like I said, the control is a textbook example of what happens in Brendan confession over and over and over again. Except the difference with the control question is Brendan didn't know it was a control question. He was treating it like every other questioning that they were hitting with that day. And when he was questioned about it, he immediately flip-flopped, just like he did a lot of other things. So it's all clear proof that what was going on there was ridiculous. And I truly believe that the Supreme Court is going to see the merits. I certainly hope so. Because as I said, this case ripe. It's got so much momentum behind it. So much momentum. So many people care and are deeply interested in what happens in Dassey. As I said, recently they played that Dateline special of Return to Manitowoc or whatever. And like I said, my boss, staunch sort of law enforcement, like to the point of to being being a default. Even when they're wrong, he tends to believe they're right. That he's that strict reporter. But when he finished watching that Dateline, he called me on my phone and said, "You know what? You're right. What they did to that kid was absolutely wrong." You know what? To me, to hear somebody who's so staunchly pro law to say that, so I just had to ask the question: what is it about it that got to you? He said, if they did that to my sons, I'd be ready to kill them. That's I think what happens with the Brendan case. It's strong. It when people was happening there, they get pissed, they get mad, they get angry, and then some of us develop resolve to not shut up about it and keep putting it up face so that they can't forget. Hi, Barbie girl. Thank you for being a fan. I appreciate everybody that tunes in. Obviously, I think making MEM2 is really hard on the shaming, on shaming the American system. This is the worst stitch up in the history of the law. Um, yeah, I think it's a shame what's going on with this, certainly, and it needs to get corrected. I think you. You think I can think of a far better phrase, ray of sunshine? You may be right. But I like to be very somewhat respectful on my channel, of course. I find it hilarious that people still call it the justice system. It's the slaves in the 21st. Yeah, there is a bit of a concern on that. Yeah, this privatizing of prisons, where abilities and basically kind of opening the door for what uh, I'm sorry, what Mr. Jojo is talking about here. Not saying it's happening fully right now, but I know I don't trust corporations to be morally right, and it's a disturbing path. I, uh, Putting our prisons in the hands of corporations. It's to me it just worries me a bit. Dealt with a man with a cop Manitowoc that pulled gun on my husband, said he was going to shoot him. The guy kept pulling over, had a vindictive style to get my husband, extremely young, found the correct. That sounds pretty bad. That's yeah. I can't believe that they're even that bold to do that sort of thing. If there's a way to expose him for it, I'd love to help you out on it. When they put themselves above the law, so wrong. One thing that many people are for. So, don't keep watching. Okay. So, let me see if I can go back up and find some comments here that I may have missed. Yes, Anthony Magan, trying to name what's happened here. Certainly with Brendan and Steven, there's just too many fishings, too many things that don't line up, and definitely. Left. Ryan is my number one suspect. I know he's a lot of people's number one suspect, and certainly first on my person of interests. List of people of interest. Let's see. Oh well, thank you, everybody. Yeah, I think I'm good. Is the video coming through all right now? Did it freeze up again, particularly here? Um, so something else I want out here, folks, is that the reason why I was playing with this today and trying to this is that I'm going to be doing another live soon. I'm going to be more live sessions like this. I'm going to try and maybe do them every Sunday morning or maybe every other Sunday. Because I know that week for me it's tough, guys. I put out a video when I get home from work. You know, I put it together and everything, and I stay up till pretty late processing it and uploading it to YouTube and sharing it a bit, you know, before I go to bed. So I generally, by the time you guys are all coming in and commenting on them, I'm either asleep or I'm at work because I wake up in the morning and then I'm off to work, and so it I'm thinking about doing this, the little thing where I can go live where people who felt, you know, who felt like I didn't answer them or maybe I didn't get to their comment will have a place to come and so that's kind of that's what the little test was. Didn't really, I honestly didn't think that 18 people would have jumped on right away. um I expected to have a 3 or 4 because I didn't really prep for it, didn't tell people it was going to happen. But hey, I ended up with quite a few people jumping on right away and asking me questions, so I stuck longer than I intended. Obviously, learning a little bit more how this works so that it'll be more smooth in the future. Fortunately, I am able to bring a computer screen and I am able to see all your comments because my the right way, you know. Otherwise, Challenger way or whatever would be backwards. You know what I mean? So I have here. Oh, got some more comments now. Oh, it's choppy. Well, hmm. Well, that's hopefully what I'll be able to resolve if once I get it once I get it to where YouTube will use my computer's camera and my microphone. We may lose the glitchiness because my computer is hardwired with, you know, gigabit connection, so it is super fast when I'm able to just use it. But right now I'm using my phone, which is on Wi-Fi, and yeah, so there'll be some issue lag there. Who fits than Ryan? He lied. Oh, I plenty of things about that need answering. I am absolutely 100% on that. There's, you know, a lot of things that need answers, and could be the jealous boyfriend. Found out that Teresa and Scott Blodorn had